So good afternoon, everyone. Quick introduction of myself. I'm EY, founder of Aurigami. Whoa, okay, that's a very good introduction. Okay, so thank you for joining me here today, where I'll be sharing more about Origami's exciting journey on Aurora so far, and also sharing some of the insights that we have learned throughout. So do allow me to introduce Origami to those who are unfamiliar with us. We are a non-custodial money market on Aurora, and our main product offering is to allow users to deposit to earn yield, and of course to borrow by over-collateralizing your assets. So as the first money market on Aurora, our vision is actually to lay the foundation for DeFi innovation to happen by aggregating liquidity. So I'd like to share some of the high-level numbers. Since launching, we have averaged 280 million liquidity. We have actually reached a peak of close to $1 billion back in May. In terms of liquidation that happens on our platform, we had 3 million since launching as well, indicating a strong liquidity engine. Currently, we have 8,000 total active users, and this number, of course, is growing every week. And we have listed 9 of the largest assets on Aurora, and we'll be looking to list more tokens in the near future. So our journey on Aurora really started back end of last year, in November, where we found out about this amazing opportunity to build a money market on Aurora, right? So the team immediately jumped on this for 2 main reasons. First, we are very convinced with the technical superiority of Aurora, whereby developers like us gets to benefit from the faster settlement on the near blockchain, and also get full access to all the EVM toolings, liquidity in Ethereum through the native Rainbow Bridge. And secondly, we are also quite convinced that back then, Aurora will be able to attract a lot of successful VCs to come in. Now, this is very important because for developers like us, we are attracted and hugely incentivized by ecosystem grants. And of course, by having more good innovative projects on Aurora, we'll be able to attract more users and liquidity into the ecosystem, and thereby kicking off this flywheel of growth. As one of the early builders on Aurora, we benefited tremendously from the support given to us by Proximity Labs and the Aurora team. So our next milestone was in February, where we were quite fortunate to ride on the excitement generated by the ecosystem, and we managed to raise a 9.5 million round, which was co-led by Dragonfly Capital and Polychain Capital. Straight after that, we were successful to be able to be the first money market launched on Aurora. May was quite an exciting month for us, where we collaborated with 3 of the top tiers launchpads, KuCoin, Bybit, and Impossible Finance, where we raised a further 2.5 million in an IEO round. Shortly after that, we launched our paper mill and pulp, which I'll discuss in more detail later, as it's critical to our liquidity mining program. And most recently, we were listed as one of the healthiest lending protocol on RiskDAO's Bad Debt dashboard, comparing all of the leading money markets out there in DeFi. So we're very proud to have 0 bad debt and 0 insolvent accounts despite the recent market volatility. So this is strong evidence of the resilience and robustness of our liquidation engine, and as a result of a very good risk management, or prudent risk management from the team. The first milestone that I'd like to talk about a bit more is about our product launch in March, right? So the very first challenge that we faced was how can we be quick and fast enough to seize the first mover advantage and be the first money market on Aurora. And through this, we had this amazing opportunity to work very closely with the Aurora dev team to optimize the Aurora engine, culminating in the release of engine 2.4.0, where we doubled the gas efficiency. So a short recap for everyone here on the basics of the transactions, right? So as we all know, Aurora engine is a smart contract layer on top of near blockchain. It also has a full EVM interpreter, allowing us to execute Ethereum transactions. So when a signed Ethereum transaction is sent to an Aurora RPC, what happens is it's wrapped into a near blockchain. So by logic, all transactions on Aurora must follow the same logic on near blockchain. So this gives rise to a very interesting gas challenge, especially for developers like us. How do we pack more and more EVM work into the same single near transaction? So what our team has done is to really understand how the transcompiler, which is the Sputnik VM, works, and how the EVM gas correlates with the near gas. So we deployed hundreds of contracts, we meticulously profile and study them, and what we found is that there are certain irregularities in the cost of reading variable from storage. More specifically, when we read a variable, what happens is the Sputnik VM may translate that into a triple or quadruple read, thereby wasting precious gas resource. So by solving these issues, and of course with several other improvements, we managed to bring down the gas costs significantly, thereby allowing future developers to deploy more complex and more complicated contracts. So our first tip to all the builders on Aurora is to pay attention and be very conscious about gas consumption, and to really understand the interactions between Aurora and NEAR. The second milestone I'd like to discuss more is, of course, our Pulp Token launch. This was back in May. From the very early on, we knew that we had to attract cross-chain liquidity onto Aurora, and also to play our part to encourage and to attract users and investors into the ecosystem. So what we have done, as I mentioned just now, is we have leveraged on these top three launchpads, and this gave us the maximum outreach as we were able to tap into their communities and get them to come on board to the ecosystem. So all three launchpads experienced oversubscription of Ply, and I think that is a great indication of the interest that's shown to both Aurigami and by extension to the Aurora and NEAR ecosystem. Shortly after that, our Ply token is also launched on Huobi and Trisolaris using Rift Finance liquidity infrastructure in partnership with the NEAR Foundation. So over here, I think just to share, for us, I think we can, for the builders out there, consider deploying your native tokens on Ethereum and then bridge them over to NEAR and Aurora. For us, we found that that's the most effective way of making sure that your native token is available cross-chain. So it's something to consider. Next, I'd like to share something that's unique to Aurigami, which is the paper mill. So as all of you know, liquidity mining is a critical part of bootstrapping for all DeFi projects. But more often than not, people or the early liquidity miners will leave and redeploy their capital elsewhere when there's newer projects coming up. So this is our attempt to solve this issue. So what is the paper mill? The paper mill is essentially our liquidity mining program, but with a twist. So rather than just giving out Ply tokens, which is our native governance token, we also give out Pulp Token, a liquid lock token as liquidity mining rewards. Allow me to explain more about what Pulp is. So it represents Ply, it represents locked Ply, and it's able to be redeemed as one-to-one to Ply at a later date. On the other hand, it is also an ERC20 token, which means that it's fully tradable and transferable. Therefore, it's a locked token that's liquid. That's why we coined it a liquid locked token. So by introducing Pulp, we are able to give rise to quite a few interesting use cases. Firstly, it allows users or investors that wants to long Ply an opportunity to buy Pulp at a discount in the market, right? And secondly, by introducing gamification into the paper mill, we are able to incentivize our liquidity miners to delay claiming of their rewards, thereby prolonging the release of Ply into the circulating supply and reducing the sell pressure. So we are happy to share that up till today, out of all the liquidity mining rewards that's meant to be distributed, only 32% has been claimed, and only 4% of Ply has been added to the circulating supply. But actually, more importantly, what we are proud to see is the concept of liquid lock tokens being adopted for other use cases. One example is the Aurora Futures, which was announced, I think, 2 weeks ago, where the Aurora team distributed locked Aurora tokens to their team members. So yes, so when it comes to designing tokenomics, it's crucial for us to try to find something that fits to your main product offerings and not just jump on the latest bandwagon or trend such as the VE token. So Aurigami, of course, we're committed to support all protocols to come onto Aurora. We're very excited to grow the ecosystem together. We recently launched our ecosystem liquidity pool, which can help to incentivize and attract more liquidity onto to our partners. As an early builder on Aurora, our dev team has went through a lot of contract interactions, and they know very well how to optimize certain contracts. So do reach out to us if you feel that you need help in that. We also offer customized borrowing arrangements for projects and also for treasury diversification purpose. And lastly, of course, we're always on the lookout to list new tokens and new assets on our platform. So if any of these things are of interest to you, please do reach out, and I'll be here the whole day. So if not, just DM me, and I'm sure we can arrange something. So that's all that I have to share today. Thank you very much.